Georgia 35-10 over Texas, Dan.
Yeah, speaking of doing nothing in the second half. Continue.
Oh, my God. This escalated quickly, didn't it?
Yes.
At one point, we're chatting online. It's like 14-10. The next thing you know, you take a long pee, as you like to say, and it was 35-10.
Mm-hmm.
Ball game. I thought Georgia made Texas look completely pedestrian. Completely pedestrian in this game. And
I thought Texas did a good job of that as well. Just
for a
in
good
how
chunk of the game,
they were in the first half. Yeah.
Yeah, for a good chunk of this game, for sure. I expected this to some extent with the Texas offense. But the way that Georgia moved the ball in the Texas defense to me, especially in the second half, that is not something I was fully expecting. I didn't think they would have this much success against a good Texas defense, but they, in the second half of this game, especially as we got in the latter stages of the third quarter into the fourth quarter, it was clear that this Texas defense was on skates and Georgia had basically license to do whatever they wanted.
I'm with you. You brought up this point going into the episode that the Texas pass defense just hasn't been there, despite having a very good pass rush, that the secondary hasn't been there. The secondary has been beat up. And when the Texas offense is departing the field as efficiently as they are, you're just putting your own defense in a terrible position.
Yeah.
And I thought with Georgia's ability to stay on the field, not necessarily bombing it downfield all the time, but consistently executing, you're just wearing down. We talked about, speed test Saturday and just like wear your legs come November. And it just seemed like Georgia's game plan was perfect to wear Texas down. And Texas has dudes on this defense, especially up front, obviously in the linebacking core.
Absolutely.
Just can't stay on the field the whole time. And when Texas has the drops that they do, when they don't necessarily have go-to receivers consistently like they've had these past couple seasons, Georgia's going to be able to take advantage. And yeah, it was 14-10 in the second half. And then just absolute brass balls from Kirby Smart following a touchdown up with a perfectly executed onside kick. That wasn't even like scrummed for the ball.
No.
It was just caught in rhythm as Texas players turned their back on a gently bouncing onside kick. And that was turned into points and got a quick stop. That was then turned into points from a short field. Texas was backed up. It was an efficient and brutal display of peak Georgia football. I thought the play calling was really good from Georgia. I thought Gunner Stockton was great in this game, like on the ground, making decisions, quick decisions. They spread the ball out really nicely. They weren't killers on the ground. It wasn't a big Chauncey Bowens game, but Nate Frazier made plays. I don't know. This was it felt like peak Georgia to me.
I mean, they would leak a running back out of the backfield to one side of the field and then to the other. And then when Texas wisened up to that, then they would leak a tight end out or they would leak a receiver out or Zachariah Branch would be sitting in a pocket. It just it felt to me like whatever they wanted to do, they could do.
Yeah.
And I know that wasn't true for the entirety of the game, but certainly down the stretch when it counted the most, Georgia just blew the doors off of Texas. I mean, it didn't even seem like they belonged on the same field. They just completely outclassed them in the second half. On the Texas side, I mean, too many drops, too many penalties, never able to gain any kind of momentum. I think it needs to be mentioned again and again and again. The line stinks.
Yeah, but Arch also missed dudes at times.
Arch missed dudes, but the line stinks.
Yeah.
They can't run. And when the line stinks and you can't run, that puts more pressure on your quarterback. And I thought, all things considered, Arch Manning played a pretty good game. He made some bad throws. He definitely had some misses, but I think people need to understand it's all on him. Yeah. It's all on him. I talked about it in the preview, but I checked the stats on the most pressured FBS quarterbacks, most pressured Power 4 quarterbacks, and Arch Manning was in the top 10 coming into Week 12. I'm sure, I don't know what it's going to be coming out of Week 12, but for sure, it's a lot on him. It's all on his arm. He was clearly emotional about it. He wanted to play a better game. I think he did all right. I don't think this is his fault that they lost this game. I think Georgia's the better team. I think this was a demonstration of what Georgia can do against a team that doesn't have an offensive line that's up to stuff. So I don't necessarily blame Arch for being emotional about it. I thought all things considered, again, he played a pretty good game, but They were not the better team out there. They certainly did not have the offense to go toe-to-toe with this Georgia defense.
No, and this Georgia defense hasn't been incredible this year at all times, but sort of outside of, some of the Alabama game, the Tennessee game, the Ole Miss game, it's been quietly improving. But you're right, this is not a defense to the recent Georgia standard.
No.
And it's very young. Obviously, they're going to grow into it. And I think they have grown into it. I think they're at the point now where they're just not where they were a month ago, 2
We
months
can
ago.
stop talking now about how young they are, right? Because they've
started
played,
8, 9, 10 games.
Yeah, they played like 2.5 months of this now. They're sort of they've got some seasoning for sure.
The athletes are there, and I saw CJ Allen got hurt. We'll see, how big of a deal that is. I mean, he is obviously a huge deal for this defense. We'll see what that means for the rest of their season. Obviously setting up for a huge game against Georgia Tech to finish things out. But no, I don't know how you come away anything but crazy impressed with what Georgia's been able to do lately.
I completely agree with you. So here's where Georgia's at right now.
Please.
Georgia's done with their SEC schedule. They do not have the head-to-head tiebreaker with Alabama because they played and they lost. But in order for them to play for the SEC title, they either need Auburn to beat Alabama in the Iron Bowl or Texas to beat Texas A&M when they play their rivalry, and they renew that rivalry in Austin last week of the season. It's also worth noting that if both of those teams lose, there is potential for it to be Georgia against Ole Miss. I'm not counting on that. That would require a lot to happen.
You're talking about if Texas A&M and Alabama lose.
If Texas
A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss.
Yes, and Alabama lose and Ole Miss wins the Egg Bowl, that would be a scenario in which you get some different teams that maybe some are expecting in that SEC title game. But right now, I still think Alabama is sort of in the driver's seat. Obviously, the same is true for Texas A&M. The most likely SEC championship game right now, by virtue of the results that we saw in Week 12, it looks like Texas A&M against Alabama.
Yeah.
Georgia would be next up. Beyond that, that's when you get into the weird Ole Miss scenario. Texas is fully out of all this stuff now. They just are. They have 3 losses. They're not going to play for the SEC. They're out of the playoff picture. They could certainly play a large role if they knock off Texas A&M the last week of the regular season. That could have a real impact on what A&M's path looks like. But in terms of playing for some of these, more grandiose achievements that many had expected at the start of the year, that's not going to happen in 2025 for Texas.
No. Also, Georgia looks like the best team in the SEC right now, and they're not even in line to play, which might be fine by them, honestly, given schedule of playoff stuff.